Well, welcome back to Valley Breakfast, one and all. Of course, that was Driving Home for Christmas. Chris Rea. Christmas is coming closer, and at this time of year, it is always tricky to get the presents that you want, but some of us feel pressured. And an amazing study by Lloyds Bank have found that last-minute Christmas shopping and product shortages have left desperate Brits vulnerable to fraud. Now, who better to speak to about this than consumer champion, broadcaster, and quite frankly, legend, Gloria Hunniford. Good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you, Paul. That was a very nice introduction. I'll sign you up at 10%, okay?
That's perfectly fine. Look, to be honest, when you've grown up watching you on the television and realizing that, quite frankly, the way that you've sort of been that consumer champion over the years, of course, we've seen you on programs like Rip Off Britain, and of course, really kind of focusing on this fraud element, this scam element that seems to have come about in previous years. It's a huge thing nowadays, isn't it?
It is. It's enormous. And we've been doing it now on Rip Up Britain for 14 years. And with television, in a way, you don't expect things maybe to sort of last that long. But the scams, if anything, are getting bigger and more complicated than ever before. You would like to think that people have become very astute because you've been talking about them for so long. But sadly, we all get sucked in. We all like a bit of a deal, and we sort of think, oh, well, like a bit selfish. And you sort of think, well, yeah, I'll get that at a cheaper price. But you're right. The research that Lloyds have carried out is really interesting to me anyway, because to think that 63% of all of us in this country at Christmas time, it's very appropriate that we're talking about it, to think that the purchase scams that we're talking about have risen by 10% in this year alone. What I wanted to say is to try and avoid the scam. Far better to listen to a bit of advice from this research and try to avoid it altogether. So I'll cut this down as quickly as possible. Always use your credit or debit card if you can, because you have a built-in insurance that should it all go pear-shaped and you get scammed, you have a comeback and you'll get your money back. If you do what we call push payments, so somebody says, oh, no, I don't take credit cards. No, I'd like you to do a bank transfer. So effectively cash.
Yeah.
If you push that button on your computer, you've voluntarily done it. And so therefore you have little or no comeback on that, because you've given your money to somebody that maybe doesn't even exist, or a company that doesn't exist. And the other thing I want to ask you, do you know anything about 159, this number 159?
No, that's news to me.
Well, this is really important because it's a new thing. And most of the high street banks, the smaller banks haven't as yet maybe signed up, but all the major banks have signed up. And if you see something that you think that's dodgy, that's odd, I don't think I should be doing that as a payment. I don't think I should push that button. Put your computer away, put your phone down, whatever, and ring 159, and they will automatically put you through to your bank. So it's a great, instead of somebody flapping, going, oh, where am I going to get this number? Where's my directory? I don't know.
Yeah.
You ring 159, they put you through. So that is an amazing advancement.
That is, I was going to say, because we've all seen it, and this has been, whether it's a text message that we get to say, oh, you've missed a parcel, or it might be something to say, we've shut your account and we need you to call us. Of course, those are the things where people feel that pressure all the time. And of course, at Christmas time, this is when we're getting desperate. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. We need the gifts. We need to make sure that we've got an actual time pressure on this one. And I was amazed at this. 63% of the people that were asked said that they would take more risks when making purchases in the lead up to Christmas. Why do we seem to feel this pressure to do this?
Well, it's this kind of desperation. You're only like a matter of days away now, in a way, from Christmas, and we're all trying to fit in our work or whatever else we do in life, and you're trying to get the right thing for the right person. We've got 10 grandchildren between us, and it's just lovely to get the thing that you know that they want. Then on the other hand, I mean, one of my grandchildren, I was talking to him the other day, and of course, he normally would say, you can't buy me anything because I buy everything online. Well, he's older, he's about 24 now, and he was doing a bit of investment. And he's a very savvy young man, but he got scammed of all the money that he'd made. And he was saving hard for a deposit for a flat eventually, because he'd finished university about a year ago. Right. And he's very savvy. And he lost all his money and he's devastated. I mean, it really has given him not depression in a serious way, but he really came home to his family, and that just sort of took him really down. So the point I'm making there is it can happen to any age group.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't matter how savvy you are. These scammers are clever. They'll come up with something more clever than you. And as the police admit that, they say that the scammers are ahead of the game.
And this is the serious implication of all this. If, you know, Christmas is a joyous time for everybody. The last thing
yes,
we want is that realization a few days before Christmas that actually the gift's not arriving because the company doesn't exist, and actually we're mired in phone calls to banks who are probably trying to do as little as possible because they want to get away for Christmas as well. You know, that's the last thing you need at this time of year. So it's being astute, using your card wherever necessary. That's going to be a key thing because, like you say, there's a built-in insurance there, but also, you know, taking that moment of advice and seeing if we can have that little bit of reflection and going, you know what I mean? Is this the right thing for me to be doing right now? Do these people even exist?
Yeah. Because you actually said something very valuable earlier on. You know, the pressure's on because of the scarcity. You know, you see in the paper all the time or you hear in the news about the scarcity of certain products, whether ranging from food to toys to clothing to whatever it happens to be. And you do get sucked in because you want to please, and the pressure's on time-wise, you know, coming up to Christmas. So just to reiterate again, as I say, this Lloyd's research has really pointed out something terribly valuable, I think. So 159, which is a new thing, many people won't know about it, but it's a really valuable tool. Or just ring your normal number to your bank, or ask somebody in your family, you know, if you are slightly vulnerable or not as savvy as you ought to be, like myself, ask somebody else and get advice, and just step back a bit and just think for even a minute, is this right?
Yeah, that scarcity you were talking about. I've got a teenage son. He would desperately love a PlayStation 5. I think there were only 3 of them ever made, quite frankly. And I don't think I'm ever going to find one. And he's going to be disappointed this Christmas because, but like you say, if somebody came to me and said, oh, we'll get your PlayStation 5 for £10, of course that's enticing. You want to please people, but we've got to be careful, haven't we?
So what are you going to buy him instead if you can't get that PlayStation one?
I can't broadcast that on the radio. Mind you, having said that, he very rarely listens to my show anyway. So quite frankly, I could say I'm getting him a PlayStation 5 and he'd never know. And Gloria, it's great coming up to Christmas. We're of course now you're a Strictly veteran as well. I've got to ask you this question. We're getting closer. Who do you think's going to win?
Well, I'll tell you about my experience on it. I was on the very beginning, really, I think second or third series. And if you could put one foot past the other, you were on. Now it is so clever. They are so good. My 3 finalists are, and in a way, they're all great. I love the 2 guys who dance together, John and Johannes. I really like Rose, the girl. I think they've done amazingly well, considering she has to pick up on vibrations and can't actually hear the music.
Absolutely.
And of course, I love AJ. I think those legs go on forever. And I think she uses them to great advantage. So I'd be happy with all of that. And really, any one of them could win and I'd be happy because I think they're all very, very good. But it's a great program. And, you know, everybody says, oh, it's been the best experience I've ever had. And actually, it's true. You do make friends in it. It's very funny. James Martin, the chef, was on the same year I was.
Right.
And when you're waiting to go up the steps to go down for the entrance, which is great, when the music starts, etc. James is always behind me, but people say, so what did you talk about? And I said, we talked about his 5 acres of organic carrots that he was growing. And they go, no. Every week I'd say, how are the carrots coming on? So yes, it's a great experience. Gives you something to smile about, I have to say.
That's as far as away from glam and sequins as I think we'd ever find.
It's true, but nevertheless, the glam and sequins were there as well.
Thank you so much for coming on to talk to us this morning, Gloria. It's been absolutely wonderful.
I've loved it.
We're playing out with a little bit of Cliff. Your choice, mistletoe and wine, a family favourite. Oh
yes, I've known Cliff for over 50 years, and he's a great man, and he makes a very, very loyal and solid friend. I saw him at the Albert Hall recently. You know, he's 81 now and will be 82 in next October. But he moves like a 35-year-old on the stage. And he was in fabulous voice. I mean, he really was. And I think that maybe part of the lockdown has given him a chance to rest a little bit in the sunshine, probably in Barbados. But I love this song, you know, no matter how many times I hear it over the Christmas period, I love it. So yes, for me, it's mistletoe and wine. Fantastic. Gloria Hunniford, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Here's a bit of Cliff for everybody.